Master your reactions, the art of staying calm when life gets chaotic. Welcome to Audiobook Soundz. Life rarely asks for permission before it disrupts your peace. It does not knock on your door and politely warn you before things fall apart. Before people disappoint you. Before stress, pressure, and uncertainty settle into your day. It just arrives. Unannounced. Unpredictable. Uncontrolled. But here's the truth. You cannot stop life from being chaotic, but you can stop chaos from controlling you. Your real power has never lived in the world outside you. Your real power has always lived in your reaction, your interpretation, your inner discipline, your calm. Because the emotional storms you face do not break you. It is the way you react to them that decides your strength or your downfall. Every moment of your life, a silent battle takes place inside you. Between impulse and intention, between reaction and response, between panic and clarity, between fear and understanding. Most people lose this battle every day. They let their emotions lead them. They allow external noise to shape their internal peace. They surrender control without even realizing it. But you are here because something inside you is done being pulled around by your emotions. Something inside you is craving mastery. A steadiness, a deeper kind of strength, the kind that comes from the inside out. And that is what this audiobook is designed to give you. This is more than advice, more than motivation, more than a temporary dose of feel better. This is a blueprint, a mental reset, a step-by-step transformation of how you experience life, how you process pain, how you handle pressure, and how you regain control when everything around you feels uncontrollable. This audiobook will teach you how to pause before your emotions take over, how to separate yourself from chaos, how to stay calm in situations that once triggered anger or fear, how to think clearly when your mind wants to panic, how to detach without disconnecting, how to respond with wisdom instead of reacting with impulse, how to build an inner peace so steady that no one can shake it. Because emotional mastery isn't the absence of feelings. It is the art of feeling without falling apart. It is the strength to stay centered even in the middle of your darkest storm. It is the courage to remain calm in places where you once panicked. And it is the discipline to choose clarity over chaos every single time. So take a deep breath. Let this be your reset. Let this be your turning point. Let this be the beginning of a calmer, stronger, wiser you. This journey is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming unshakable. Now, let's begin your transformation toward emotional mastery. The power of emotional control. There is a moment in every person's life when they realize something important. They cannot keep living at the mercy of their emotions. Maybe you felt it too. Those times when anger takes over before you even understand why. When stress dictates your decisions. When fear talks louder than your wisdom. When someone's words or actions pull you into a reaction you later regret. In those moments, you don't feel in control. You feel like a passenger inside your own mind. Like your emotions are steering the wheel, and you're just holding on. But here's the truth. Emotional control is not a gift you are born with. It is a skill you build. And once built, it becomes one of the greatest forms of power you will ever possess. To understand the power of emotional control, you must first understand something essential. Your life is shaped not by what happens to you, but by how you respond to what happens to you. Two people can go through the same hardship, the same pressure, the same chaos, yet one will rise while the other falls. The difference isn't intelligence. It isn't talent. It isn't luck. The difference is emotional mastery. The one who rises is the one who refuses to let emotion cloud their judgment. The one who refuses to let temporary feelings ruin permanent opportunities. The one who learns how to pause, breathe, and respond with clarity, instead of reacting with impulse. That is emotional control. That is inner power. Think about this. Every argument you've ever regretted, every decision you made too quickly, every moment you felt overwhelmed or defeated, every situation where you lost yourself, they all had one thing in common. Your emotions were louder than your awareness. When emotion becomes the loudest voice in the room, wisdom becomes silent. When emotion leads, logic follows behind it like a shadow, present, but unseen. And when emotion drives your behavior, you lose stability. You lose clarity. You lose peace. But when you lead your emotions instead, everything changes. You start thinking before reacting. You start seeing situations clearly instead of emotionally. You start recognizing your triggers before they take over. You start gaining strength you never knew you had. Because emotional control is not suppression. It is leadership. Leadership over yourself. Leadership over your impulses. Leadership over the inner storms that once controlled you. Imagine the version of you who no longer reacts instantly. The version of you who stays calm while others panic. The version of you who hears criticism without crumbling. Who faces pressure without breaking. Who feels anger without exploding. Who feels fear without freezing. That version of you is not a fantasy. That version of you is built through emotional mastery. And here's what many people forget. You do not rise by controlling the world. You rise by controlling your inner world. You rise by choosing clarity when confusion surrounds you. You rise by choosing peace when chaos tries to pull you in. You rise by choosing patience when everything pushes you toward impulse. Emotional control is not about becoming cold. It is not about becoming numb. It is not about ignoring your feelings. It is about honoring your emotions without letting them overtake your power. It is about experiencing feelings without letting them dictate your destiny. It is about recognizing that you are not your emotion. You are the one observing your emotion. You are the thinker behind the thought. The awareness behind the reaction. The presence behind the feeling. So let me say this clearly. Emotion is natural. Reaction is optional. Mastery is intentional. And once you begin mastering your reactions, you unlock a life most people never experience. A life where your emotions follow you, not the other way around. A life where you walk into situations with a calm mind instead of anxious energy. A life where you choose your direction instead of being dragged by your impulses. This is why emotional control is power. Because the person who cannot control their emotions will always be controlled by their environment. But the person who masters their emotions becomes untouchable. They become steady, focused, resilient, unshakable. When you control your emotions, nothing outside you can break you. Nothing outside you can manipulate you. Nothing outside you can dictate how you feel, how you think, or how you live. That is true strength. That is true freedom. That is emotional mastery. And this mastery begins right here, with awareness, with stepping out of autopilot, with choosing not to react instantly, but intentionally, with reclaiming the calm you lost, and rebuilding the control you deserve. This chapter is your foundation, the beginning of your transformation, the moment you stop being led by emotion and start leading it. Let's continue. Chapter 2. Chaos is not the enemy, your response is. Life has never promised you order. It has never promised you predictability, certainty, or comfort. Life's nature is movement, motion, constant change. It shifts without warning. It rearranges without explanation. It disrupts without apology. But chaos on its own is not the problem. Chaos is simply life behaving as life does, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and uninterested in your plans. The real problem begins when you internalize chaos, when you let external noise become internal turbulence, when what happens around you becomes what happens inside you. That is the true enemy. Not the chaos, but your response to it. Think about this. Two people can experience the exact same chaotic situation. The financial setback, a breakup, a betrayal, a loss, a moment of crisis. One spirals. The other stabilizes. Because the first person absorbed the chaos, and the second person observed it. One let the storm enter them. The other stood in the storm but did not become it. This is the defining difference between emotional weakness and emotional mastery. Weakness collapses under chaos. Mastery creates calm within chaos. Let's go deeper. Chaos appears frightening because it disrupts your sense of control. Humans crave certainty, routines, predictability, patterns they can depend on. Chaos threatens that comfort. It forces you to step into the unknown. It pushes you into a space where emotion takes over if awareness is absent. But here's the truth many never learn. Chaos has no real power until you let it into your mind. Chaos cannot overwhelm you unless you open the door. Chaos cannot defeat you unless you surrender to it. Chaos cannot define your life unless you let your reactions define your life. When chaos arrives, and it will, you have two choices. 1. Absorb it. Become anxious, angry, reactive, overwhelmed. 2. Step back from it. Slow down, breathe, observe, respond with clarity. One choice steals your power. The other choice amplifies it. Here's a truth that will change your life if you let it sink in. You do not need to match the energy of chaos. You must make the chaos match the energy of your calm. Chaos is loud. Calm is quiet, but powerful. Chaos pushes. Calm roots itself. Chaos demands a reaction. Calm chooses a response. When you remain calm in the presence of chaos, the chaos loses its influence. Your calm becomes the battlefield advantage that most people never learn to use. This is why emotional discipline matters. This is why emotional self-control is essential. Because without emotional discipline, chaos does not just disrupt your day. It takes control of your life. Let's examine what truly happens during chaotic moments. Your heart rate rises. Your mind speeds up. Your emotional brain takes over. Your thinking becomes narrow. Distress shifts your focus from clarity to survival. You stop responding and start reacting. But chaos is not psychological unless you let it be. It is the interpretation of chaos, not the event itself, that creates emotional storms. This means something liberating. You cannot control chaos, but you can control perception. And perception controls your reaction. This is why the calm person always seems stronger, smarter, wiser, or more mature. They're not better than anyone else. They simply refuse to let chaos dictate their behavior. They lead their emotion instead of being led by it. Now listen to this carefully. Chaos is inevitable, but losing control is not. Chaos will show up in your relationships, your career, your personal life, your plans, your expectations, your dreams. But emotional spiraling is optional. Breaking down is optional. Becoming reactive is optional. Because chaos is external. Reaction is internal. And you control the internal. The greatest mistake people make is believing they have to fight chaos with more chaos. Loudness with loudness, pressure with pressure, fear with fear. But this only multiplies the emotional damage. When you meet chaos with chaos, you lose yourself. You lose your center. You lose your ability to think. But when you meet chaos with calm, when you lower your energy instead of raising it, when you breathe instead of panic, when you pause instead of react, you neutralize chaos. This is emotional power. This is emotional leadership. This is mastery. Let me leave you with this truth before we move on. When the world becomes louder, you must become quieter. When everything speeds up, you must slow down. When everything around you becomes unstable, you must become still. Because the person who can remain calm when life becomes chaotic is the person who rises above the chaos. The person who makes decisions from clarity, not confusion. The person who becomes unbothered by noise, pressure, or emotional storms. Chaos is not your enemy. Your reaction is. Master the reaction, and chaos becomes nothing more than background noise. Let's continue. Chapter 3. The Pause, Your Most Powerful Tool. There is a moment, a small, invisible moment, that exists between your emotion and your reaction. The fraction of a second, a space so subtle that most people never notice it, but powerful enough to change the entire direction of your life. This moment is called the pause. And if you learn how to use it, if you learn how to step into that space before your emotions pull you into impulsive action, you will unlock a level of self-mastery that most people spend their entire lives searching for. To understand the power of the pause, you must first understand this. Most of your reactions are not conscious choices. They are habits. Automatic responses shaped by past experiences, old wounds, unhealed triggers, and emotional memories. When someone says something offensive, you fire back. When something frustrates you, you explode or shut down. When life becomes stressful, you panic. When things don't go your way, you fall into discouragement. These reactions are not chosen. They are repeated. And every time you react without awareness, you reinforce the emotional habits that keep you stuck. But in the pause, that small window between feeling and reacting, you are free. Free to think, free to see clearly, free to choose a different outcome. This is why the pause is the most powerful emotional tool you will ever have. It interrupts emotional autopilot. It breaks the pattern. It gives you the chance to respond with intention instead of impulse. Let's go deeper. Your brain has two operating systems. The emotional mind, fast, impulsive, reactive. The logical mind, slow, analytical, wise. When a strong emotion hits, anger, fear, shame, embarrassment, frustration, your emotional mind takes the driver's seat instantly. It wants to protect you. It wants to defend you. It wants to act quickly. This is why you react so fast. Too fast to think. Too fast to see clearly. Too fast to choose wisely. But the pause is what allows the logical mind to catch up. It gives your brain time to shift from reaction to reflection, from instinct to intelligence, from survival mode to awareness. In that tiny space, your whole mind changes. Your whole energy changes. Your whole perspective changes. And so does your decision. Think about how many regrets in your life came from reacting too fast. Words you said that you cannot take back. Decisions made in anger that later created consequences. Relationships damaged by impulsive reactions. Opportunities missed because fear responded first. Moments where you lost your cool and later felt ashamed. All of these came from skipping the pause. Now imagine the version of you who mastered it. The version of you who can feel emotion rising, but refuses to respond until clarity returns. The version of you who can hear something triggering and chooses silence over escalation. The version of you who can sit with discomfort without letting it control your behavior. This is not weakness. This is not repression. This is strength. This is maturity. This is emotional leadership. The pause does not silence emotion. It strengthens your ability to manage it. Let's examine what happens physiologically during the pause. When a strong emotion hits your body, your heart rate rises. Your breathing changes. Adrenaline spikes. Muscles tighten. Thoughts race. Your nervous system goes into alert mode. This is your biology preparing you to react. But when you pause, even for just a few seconds, you interrupt this entire response. A slow breath signals the brain to calm down. A moment of stillness stops the flood of reactive chemicals. A shift in focus brings clarity back online. You regain your center. You reclaim your power. This is not spiritual. This is biological mastery. And most people never experience it because they never give themselves permission to pause. They are so conditioned to react instantly that they never allow themselves to step back and see the full picture. But emotional mastery is built in that stepping back. This pause is not just about stopping harm. It is about creating opportunity. Because when you pause, you catch misunderstandings before they become arguments. You prevent small issues from becoming major conflicts. You avoid decisions you'll later regret. You see solutions you would have missed in panic. You maintain dignity when someone tries to provoke you. You stay grounded when life tries to shake you. The pause doesn't just make you calmer. It makes you wiser. It gives you the chance to choose the highest version of yourself instead of the emotional version of yourself. But let's talk about something deeper, something most people never acknowledge. Many people avoid the pause because they are afraid to feel what's inside it. The pause brings awareness. Awareness brings truth. Truth brings discomfort. Sometimes it's easier to explode than to reflect. Sometimes it's easier to distract than to face yourself. Sometimes it's easier to react than to sit in the emotion and understand it. This is why emotional mastery is rare. Because emotional honesty is rare. But if you want peace, clarity, strength, and self-respect, you must become comfortable inside the pause. You must learn to let emotion rise without responding to it immediately. You must become the observer of your feelings, not the servant of them. You must learn to sit in discomfort long enough to understand it, not escape it. Because the pause is where self-awareness lives. And self-awareness is the birth of emotional power. Here's something profound. You do not grow when you react. You grow when you pause. Growth does not happen in the explosion. It happens in the stillness before it. The pause is the birthplace of wisdom, the workshop of self-control, the foundation of emotional mastery. Every calm response you give is built in that tiny space. Every mature decision you make begins in that breath. Every moment of strength you show comes from that pause. This is why the pause is not small. It is not weak. It is not passive. It is the most powerful emotional tool you will ever develop. So here is your practice. When your anger rises, pause. When someone disrespects you, pause. When your heart starts racing, pause. When fear kicks in, pause. When anxiety takes over, pause. When chaos surrounds you, pause. When your mind wants to react instantly, pause. Not for a minute. Not even for 10 seconds. Just long enough to reclaim your awareness. Just long enough to return to yourself. Just long enough to see clearly, instead of emotionally. That pause is your power. That pause is your protection. That pause is your path to emotional mastery. This is how you take your control back. This is how you break old patterns. This is how you rise above the chaos of your own impulses. This is how you become unshakable. Let's continue. Chapter 4. Training the mind to slow down. Your mind is always in motion. It runs, it spins, it loops, it jumps ahead, and it spirals backward. It pulls you into memories you can't change, and drags you into futures that don't exist yet. Most people don't realize this, but the mind rarely lives in the present. It prefers speed, not clarity. It prefers movement, not understanding. It prefers reaction, not awareness. But emotional mastery requires a different kind of mind. A slower mind, steadier mind, a trained mind. Because you cannot remain calm in chaos. If your mind is chaotic inside you, let's begin with a truth few people ever learn. Your mind does not slow down on its own. If left untrained, it becomes loud, restless, and impulsive. It becomes a storm instead of a tool. It becomes your enemy instead of your ally. You cannot build emotional power with a mind that runs without direction. You cannot stay calm when your thoughts sprint faster than your awareness. You cannot master your reactions while your mind is racing ahead of your intentions. A calm life begins with a calm mind. And a calm mind begins with training. Think of your mind as an untrained horse. Strong, energetic, powerful. But wild, unpredictable, and easily startled. Left alone, it will run wherever it wants. It will stampede toward fear. It will gallop into anxiety. It will drag you into old memories and pull you into imagined catastrophes. But when trained, that same horse becomes focused, powerful, reliable. The mind is no different. Without training, the mind is your master. With training, the mind becomes your servant. So how do you train the mind to slow down? It begins with awareness. You cannot slow what you cannot see. You cannot calm what you never notice. You cannot control what you never observe. Most people never notice their thinking. It happens too fast. Their thoughts carry them away before they even realize thinking has begun. The first step to slowing the mind is simply recognizing when it's speeding up. Noticing the shift. Catching the momentum. Seeing the acceleration. Because the moment you see it, you can stop it. Let's go deeper into this. Speed is unconscious. Slowness is intentional. Your mind speeds up automatically when you're stressed, uncertain, overwhelmed, or triggered. But slowing down requires choice. It requires effort. It requires presence. Presence is the antidote to mental chaos. When you bring your mind back into the moment, it slows. When you anchor your awareness, your thoughts settle. When you shift from reaction to observation, your clarity returns. This is why the most emotionally stable people are also the most present. They are not lost in the past. They are not anxious about the future. They are here, fully. Calm lives in the present. Chaos lives everywhere else. Let's introduce a powerful principle. The mind follows the breath. Your breath is the remote control for your nervous system. When you breathe fast, your mind races. When you slow your breath, your mind slows with it. This is not mystical or philosophical. It is biological. Your breath tells your brain whether you are safe or in danger. Fast breath equals threat. Slow breath equals safety. This is why people gasp when afraid. Why panic attacks speed up the breath. Why anger tightens the chest. But when you intentionally slow your breath, you send a signal to the mind. We are safe. We are calm. We are in control. The mind listens. It adjusts. It settles. You cannot think clearly when breathing fast. You cannot panic when breathing slowly. The breath is your anchor, your stabilizer, your gateway to calm. Use it. There is another essential principle. Mental stillness comes from internal space. Most people live with no space inside their mind. Every gap is filled with noise, thoughts, worries, projections, assumptions, memories, imaginary arguments. There is no silence. There is no pause. There is no room to think. A mind with no space becomes reactive. It fires quickly. It panics easily. It feels overwhelmed by the smallest problem because there is no capacity left. Slowing the mind means creating space inside yourself. Space to breathe. Space to reflect. Space to choose. Space to feel without drowning in emotion. This space is created through practice. Intentional moments of stillness. Not an hour. Not a meditation retreat. Just moments. Moments where you sit without reaching for your phone. Breathe intentionally. Observe your thoughts without reacting. Allow silence to exist. Let stillness enter your mind. Allow one thought at a time instead of 20. These simple moments create mental strength. A mind that cannot sit still for 2 minutes will collapse in overwhelming situations. But a mind that can sit still can endure anything. Now, let's address something deeper. Your mind speeds up the most when it feels unsafe. When you lose control of your environment, your mind tries to regain control by thinking faster. This creates the illusion of control, but it actually creates mental chaos. The origin of a racing mind is rarely the situation. It is the fear inside the situation. Fear speeds the mind. Insecurity speeds the mind. Uncertainty speeds the mind. Overthinking speeds the mind. Assumptions speed the mind. Unresolved emotions speed the mind. Slowing the mind means shifting from fear-driven thinking to awareness-driven thinking. This is not achieved through force. You don't slow the mind by yelling at it. You don't slow the mind by resisting it. You slow the mind by redirecting it, bringing it back to the body, back to the breath, back to the present, back to reality instead of imagination. This is how you reclaim control. Now understand this. A slow mind is not a weak mind. A slow mind is a powerful mind. A slow mind can think deeply. It can observe clearly. It can make decisions from wisdom, not emotion. It can see possibilities where a fast mind only sees danger. It can stay grounded while others feel overwhelmed. It can rise above chaos with calm. A slow mind is not a lazy mind. It is a trained mind. A disciplined mind. A mind that knows when to accelerate and when to remain still. A slow mind is the foundation of emotional mastery. So here is your training. When your thoughts begin to speed up, slow your breath. When your mind jumps into the future, bring it back to the present. When your mind repeats the past, remind it where you are now. When your mind spirals into what ifs, return to what is. When your thoughts become loud, focus on one thing at a time. When you cannot control your mind, observe it instead of engaging. When the world speeds up, you slow down, because the person who can slow their mind is the person who can control their emotions, and the person who can control their emotions is the person who controls their life. This is the power you are building. This is the strength you are developing. This is the calm you are creating within yourself. When your mind becomes slow, steady, and intentional, chaos loses its grip on you. You rise above it. You detach from it. You lead yourself through it. This is the path toward inner mastery. Chapter 5. Emotional Awareness. Understanding your inner landscape. Before you can control your emotions, before you can calm them, guide them, or rise above them, you must first learn how to understand them. Because you cannot master what you cannot see. You cannot change what you cannot name. You cannot transform what you refuse to acknowledge. Emotional awareness is the foundation of emotional mastery. It is the inner map you use to navigate your mind, your reactions, your patterns, and your pain. Without emotional awareness, you walk into life blindly, triggered by things you don't understand, hurting from wounds you don't remember, reacting to storms that have nothing to do with the present moment. Most people do not respond to life. They respond to their past. Old emotions, old memories, old interpretations, old versions of themselves. But emotional awareness breaks this cycle. It reconnects you to what is happening inside you. Not what used to happen, not what might happen, but what is happening now. This is emotional truth. And truth is the gateway to freedom. Let's go deeper. Inside you is an emotional landscape, a terrain shaped by every experience you've ever had. The joyful ones, the painful ones, the ones you've forgotten, the ones you try to forget. Your emotional world is not random. It is patterned, structured, conditioned. It has roots. It has history. It has meaning. But most people never explore this landscape. They don't look inward. They don't question their reactions. They don't study their triggers. They don't investigate their fears or examine their emotional habits. So they repeat the same emotional cycles over and over, believing life is attacking them, when it's really their unexamined emotions repeating themselves. Emotional awareness is the act of shining light into this landscape. It is the willingness to explore yourself, deeply, honestly, without judgment. It is one of the bravest things you will ever do. Think about your emotional reactions, the strong ones, the immediate ones, the ones that feel automatic. Anger, jealousy, disappointment, fear, shame, confusion, insecurity, frustration. Each of these emotions has a story behind it, a reason for existing, a trigger that wakes it up, an origin in your past, a belief attached to it. Nothing inside you is random. Every emotion you feel came from somewhere. Emotional awareness is the process of asking, where is this coming from? Why does this affect me? What part of me is being touched? Is this emotion from now, or from something long before now? These questions pull you out of impulsive reaction and into meaningful reflection. This is how you reclaim control. Let's explore something most people never realize. Your emotions are not the problem. Your lack of awareness about them is. An emotion is just a signal, a message, a piece of information about what's happening inside you. Anger often hides hurt. Jealousy often hides insecurity. Fear often hides vulnerability. Resentment often hides unmet needs. Sadness often hides loss. Shame often hides past wounds. Emotions are not enemies. They are messengers. But when you ignore the messenger, the message grows louder, more intense, more overwhelming. Awareness softens this intensity. Awareness turns emotional chaos into emotional clarity. Because when you understand the message, you no longer fear the emotion itself. Here is a powerful truth. You cannot heal what you cannot feel. Avoiding emotion does not make it disappear. Suppressing emotion does not make you stronger. Pretending you are unaffected does not make you emotionally mature. Emotional awareness requires courage. The courage to look inside yourself. Without blame, without shame, without denial. The courage to say, I feel this. I recognize this. I understand what this is trying to tell me. I know where this came from. I am learning from it. This is not weakness. This is emotional intelligence at its highest form. Let's dig even deeper. Every emotional reaction you have is tied to 3 internal components. 1. Your beliefs. 2. Your past experiences. 3. Your expectations. Beliefs shape interpretation. Experiences shape sensitivity. Expectations shape disappointment. When an emotion rises, it is not simply reacting to the present moment. It is responding to these internal components, to the meaning you assign to what is happening. Emotional awareness is the ability to separate the event from the story your mind creates about the event. This separation is life-changing. It stops overreaction. It prevents unnecessary pain. It creates emotional neutrality. You begin to see things as they are, not as your emotions interpret them. That clarity is emotional freedom. Now let's talk about triggers, the emotional hotspots in your inner landscape. Triggers are not signs of weakness. They are signs of where healing is needed. They show you where your wounds still live. They point toward the parts of yourself you've abandoned or suppressed. Emotional awareness doesn't judge triggers. It studies them. What does this remind me of? Why does this bother me so much? What belief is being activated? What fear is being touched? What past event does this echo? Awareness transforms triggers from emotional landmines into emotional lessons. Emotional awareness also involves understanding the difference between emotion and identity. You feel anger, but you are not anger. You feel fear, but you are not fear. You feel insecurity, but you are not insecurity. You feel sadness, but sadness is not your identity. Your emotions are temporary visitors, not permanent residents. When you lack awareness, emotions take over your identity. You become the anger. You become the anxiety. You become the fear. But when you cultivate awareness, you create separation, a space between you and your emotional state. This space gives you choice, power, clarity, control. Awareness allows you to say, I feel this, but I am not this. I am bigger than this emotion. I can handle this emotion without becoming it. I can observe it without being consumed by it. This is the root of emotional maturity. Now, here is a powerful emotional truth. Awareness transforms reactions into responses, and responses into wisdom. When you understand your emotional landscape, you no longer walk through life blindfolded. You navigate your inner world with insight, depth, clarity, and strength. You see the patterns. You recognize the signals. You understand the triggers. You decode the messages. You act from awareness, not impulse. This is how emotional mastery is built. This is how emotional peace is created. This is how you gain power over your inner world. Your emotions are not your enemy. They are your teachers, your guides, your inner compass. But only if you learn how to listen. Emotional awareness is the beginning of that listening. It is the doorway to deeper self-understanding, greater emotional resilience, and an unshakable sense of inner calm. And now that you have unlocked this awareness, you are ready to move into deeper levels of emotional strength. Let's continue. Before we move to the next chapter, if this message is speaking to you, if you feel yourself growing, healing, and evolving through these lessons, please remember to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your engagement helps this channel reach more people who need this kind of calm, clarity, and emotional strength. Thank you for being here. Now, let's continue your transformation. Chapter 6. Detaching from immediate feelings. Sometimes, the greatest battle you will ever fight is the battle between what you feel in the moment and what you know to be true. Your immediate emotions are powerful, raw, overwhelming, convincing. They can make you believe that the temporary storm you're in is the permanent state of your life. But emotional mastery begins when you understand this truth. Feelings are not facts. They are signals, not instructions. They are weather, not climate. They arrive, and they pass. The trap of emotional impulses. Every day, millions of people act on emotions that won't matter in 24 hours. A text message triggers anger. A comment triggers insecurity. A small mistake triggers self-doubt. A moment of stress triggers hopelessness. And in those moments, your brain says, react now. Defend yourself. Say something you'll regret. Quit because it feels hard. Run because you're scared. But emotional impulses are like sparks. Tiny flashes that can either fade into nothing or burn down your entire peace. The difference is whether you act immediately or you detach long enough to see clearly. The art of detachment. Detachment does not mean you become cold or emotionless. It means you learn to step outside the moment. So the moment does not control you. Here's what detachment really means. You observe the emotion without obeying it. You acknowledge the feeling without reacting from it. You give the moment space so your wisdom can speak before your impulses do. It's like stepping out of a storm and watching it through a window instead of standing in the rain. When you detach, you say to yourself, I'm feeling anger, but I am not anger. I'm feeling fear, but I am not fear. I'm feeling overwhelmed, but I am not this moment. This is emotional freedom. This is what makes you unshakable. Why detachment feels hard at first. You're not weak because you get emotional. You're human. Your brain is wired to react instantly, especially to threats, stress, criticism, or uncertainty. But that wiring is ancient. It belongs to a survival system, not a success system. Modern life requires a different kind of strength. The strength to pause before you act, to watch your emotions instead of drowning in them, to choose your response instead of being dragged by impulses. At first, this feels unnatural, but over time, it becomes one of the most life-changing skills you will ever develop. The 5-second detachment rule. When an emotion rises suddenly, anger, anxiety, frustration, embarrassment, you have a brief window to take back control. Try this. 1. Stop for 5 seconds. Do not speak. Do not respond. Do not decide. 2. Breathe once, slow, deep, intentional. This tells your brain, I am not in danger. 3. Name the emotion. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling pressure. I'm feeling hurt. The moment you name the emotion, you create distance from it. Ask yourself, will this matter in a week? Is this emotion telling me the truth or just reacting? 5. Choose the response you won't regret. This tiny act of awareness can save friendships, careers, relationships, and most importantly, your peace. Remember this truth. You are not your emotions. You are the one who experiences them, the one who observes them, the one who ultimately decides your actions. Your emotions may rise quickly, but your power comes from slowing down your response. You become stronger, not by suppressing how you feel, but by refusing to let fleeting feelings control the direction of your life. That is the beginning of emotional mastery. Life will not always be calm. People will not always be kind. Challenges will not always be fair. But if you can detach from your immediate emotions, no chaos will break you. No moment will define you. No impulse will destroy what you are building. You will rise, not as a slave to your feelings, but as the master of your reaction. And that is the foundation of a powerful, unshakable life. Chapter 7. Respond, don't react. There are 2 versions of you, the reactive you and the responsible you. One is impulsive. One is intentional. One speaks without thinking. One thinks before speaking. One destroys peace. One protects it. Your reactions are automatic, emotional, fast. They come from a place inside you that wants relief, not resolution. But your responses, they come from wisdom, from clarity, from a grounded, centered version of yourself that thinks beyond the moment. Mastering your reactions is not about being perfect. It's about choosing the version of you that leads to your best life, not the one driven by fear, anger, ego, or insecurity. The danger of reacting too fast. A reaction is something you do for the moment. A response is something you do for the future. Reactions are emotional reflexes. Responses are conscious decisions. Most people react because it's easy, because they're triggered, offended, overwhelmed, or impatient. They speak too soon, judge too quickly, quit too early, or fight battles that don't deserve their energy. But here's the truth. A reaction can ruin something in seconds that took years to build. One reaction can damage a relationship, One reaction can cost a job. One reaction can break trust. One reaction can create regret. And that regret usually arrives the moment the emotion fades. That's why emotional mastery matters. Not because you must be perfect, but because impulsiveness is expensive. The power of the pause. Between what happens to you and how you react, there is a sacred space. A space so small you might not notice it. A space so powerful, it can change your entire life. That space is the pause. The pause gives you time to breathe, to think, to understand what your emotions are doing. The pause lets you choose your future instead of letting your feelings choose it for you. Here's what the pause says. I could react, but I choose better. I could explode, but I choose peace. I could take this personally, but I choose clarity. The pause is not weakness. The pause is your greatest strength. The questions that transform reactions into responses. When you feel triggered, irritated, or overwhelmed, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. What am I really feeling right now? Most reactions are not about the moment, they are about accumulated emotions. Anger might be stress. Frustration might be fatigue. Annoyance might be insecurity. Fear might be uncertainty. Name it. Then you can manage it. 2. Will this matter in the long run? Most reactions come from temporary emotions, but they create permanent consequences. If it won't matter in a week, don't let it steal your peace today. 3. What response aligns with the person I want to become? This is the turning point, because emotional control is about identity, not impulse. Ask yourself, what would the strongest version of me do right now? That question changes everything. When you choose to respond, you choose power. Responding instead of reacting does not mean you stay silent. It does not mean you tolerate disrespect. It does not mean you hide your feelings. It means you communicate with clarity, not chaos. It means you express your truth, not your temper. It means you make decisions from strength, not fear. Responding is the language of maturity. Reacting is the language of impulse. When you respond, you protect your peace. You preserve your relationships. You strengthen your discipline. You rise above the moment instead of sinking into it. This is emotional evolution. This is what separates the powerful from the unstable, the wise from the reactive, the builders from the destroyers. The response habit. If you want to make responding your natural state, practice these daily habits. Slow your breathing before you speak. Don't reply at the peak of emotion. Reread your messages before sending. Take breaks during heated situations. Notice your triggers without feeding them. Speak with intention, not impulse. These small habits shape your entire emotional character. You're not trying to win arguments anymore, you're trying to win your future. The reward of becoming a responder, not a reactor. When you choose to respond, you become calmer. You become wiser. You become more respected. You attract healthier relationships. You avoid unnecessary battles. You stop wasting energy on nonsense. You become someone people trust. Someone people listen to. Someone who stands strong in chaos because nothing can shake a mind that thinks before it moves. This is emotional mastery in action. And once you learn to respond instead of react, you will feel a peace inside you that no one can take away. As you move forward, remember this. You don't have to control everything that happens to you. You only need to control how you choose to respond. That is where your power lives. That is how you rise above chaos. That is how you build a life guided by clarity, wisdom, and strength. If this message resonates with you, if you're committed to mastering your emotions and becoming the strongest version of yourself, make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Your support helps this channel grow, and it allows more people to discover the content that can transform their lives. Chapter 8. The Discipline of Staying Unbothered. There is a quiet strength, a power that doesn't shout, doesn't argue, doesn't chase, doesn't try to prove anything to anyone. This strength is simple. It is steady. It is rare. It's the discipline of being unbothered. Being unbothered doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care about the right things. It means you protect your peace like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. Your peace is your clarity. Your peace is your power. Your peace is your mental oxygen. And if you let the world constantly disturb it, you slowly lose yourself. The world tests your peace daily. Every day there will be someone who misunderstands you, someone who tries to provoke you, someone who competes with you, someone who doubts you, someone who mocks you, someone who drains you, something unexpected that tries to shake you. Life is full of disturbances, little emotional earthquakes trying to pull you out of balance. But the truth is this: you cannot stop the world from being chaotic. You can only stop yourself from absorbing it. Most people give their peace away too cheaply. A rude comment, a message left unread, a delay, a disagreement, an opinion, a moment of inconvenience. Don't trade your inner peace for something that won't matter tomorrow. Being unbothered is a discipline, not a personality trait. Some people think staying unbothered is natural, but it isn't. It is trained. It is built. It is practiced. Being unbothered means you don't react to nonsense. You don't take everything personally. You don't let fear dictate your decisions. You don't argue with people committed to misunderstanding you. You don't waste energy on what drains you. You don't lose yourself trying to impress others. You don't allow small things to turn into emotional storms. It is the discipline of choosing your peace over your impulses. The power of not taking things personally. Most of the things people do have nothing to do with you. Their anger, their insecurity, their jealousy, their bitterness, their distance, their silence. Those are reflections of their inner world, not yours. When you stop taking everything personally, you stop giving away emotional control. You become untouchable, not because you are cold, but because you understand the truth. How people act is about them. How I respond is about me. The art of preserving your energy. You have limited emotional energy each day. And if you waste it on things that don't matter, you will have nothing left for the things that do. Protect your energy by ignoring unnecessary drama, walking away from arguments, not explaining yourself to closed minds, choosing silence over conflict, letting people have their opinions, focusing on your growth, not their noise, giving attention only to what aligns with your future. This is not avoidance. This is maturity, because everything in your life either costs energy or creates energy. Choose wisely. The beauty of walking away. Walking away is one of the most powerful forms of strength. Not because you are weak, but because you refuse to be pulled into chaos. Walking away says, I am not lowering myself for this argument. I am not sacrificing my peace for this moment. I am not engaging in what drains me. I am choosing myself. Silence is a response. Distance is a boundary. Letting go is a decision. And sometimes the moment you walk away is the moment you reclaim your life. Staying unbothered doesn't mean you don't feel. You feel everything. You just don't let everything control you. You still have emotions. You still care. You still hurt. You still love. But you refuse to let temporary feelings destroy your permanent peace. Being unbothered is not emotional numbness. It is emotional wisdom. It is emotional discipline. The reward of being unbothered. When you master the discipline of staying unbothered, your mind becomes clearer. Your decisions become smarter. Your stress becomes lower. Your confidence becomes stronger. Your relationships become healthier. Your happiness becomes more stable. Your life becomes lighter. People stop controlling you. Situations stop draining you. Chaos stops defining you. You become centered. You become grounded. You become calm in a way that intimidates the loud and inspires the wise. This is emotional freedom. This is inner strength. This is peace in its highest form. If you want to build a stronger, more peaceful version of yourself, if you're committed to the discipline of staying unbothered, if you're ready to rise above drama, noise, chaos, and negativity, then stay connected with this journey. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment below. Every engagement helps this message reach more people who need the peace, clarity, and strength you are building within yourself. Blue Book Chapter 9. Emotional Self-Control. Winning the Battle Within. Emotional control is not about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming the master of your reactions instead of a slave to your impulses. It is the quiet victory that happens inside of you, long before the outside world ever sees it. This chapter is about that inner victory. The moment you decide, my emotions will not control me, I will control them. Because until you win the battle within, every battle outside of you will feel impossible. The first rule: notice before you react. Most people don't react, they explode. They respond automatically, instinctively, unconsciously. But emotional control begins with awareness. Before you respond, ask, what am I feeling? Why am I feeling it? Is this reaction helpful? Is this worth my peace? Is this really about this moment? Or is this about something much older? Can save you from 30 days of regret. That pause is power. That pause is wisdom. That pause is emotional maturity. The truth about emotional triggers. Everyone has triggers, hidden buttons that set off emotional alarms. Some triggers come from childhood, some from trauma, some from insecurity, some from past betrayal, some from fear. But here's the truth few are willing to face. Your triggers are your responsibility, not your partner's, not your friends', not the world's. Your healing is your job. Your growth is your job. Your emotional regulation is your job. Triggers don't expose who other people are. Triggers expose where you need to heal. And healing them? That is emotional strength in its purest form. The power of reframing. Every emotion carries a message. Fear says, protect yourself. Anger says, a boundary was crossed. Sadness says, something matters deeply. Jealousy says, you desire something you don't yet have. But most people stop at the emotion and never listen to the message. Reframing means you shift from, I'm angry to, what boundary did I ignore? I'm jealous to, what desire have I neglected? I'm afraid to, what preparation do I need? You stop reacting emotionally and start responding intelligently. This is the moment your emotions stop being enemies and start becoming guides. Never argue with your emotions, lead them. Emotions are like children, loud, impulsive, needy, unpredictable. You don't silence a child by shouting. You calm them with leadership. You don't destroy your emotions. You direct them. When you're angry, pause. When you're anxious, breathe. When you're overwhelmed, slow down. When you're triggered, step back. When you're hurt, reflect, don't react. This is emotional leadership, the ability to guide your inner world with clarity and stability. Your emotions are real, but not always right. Just because you feel something does not make it true. You may feel rejected, but you weren't rejected. You may feel disrespected, but no disrespect was intended. You may feel abandoned, but no one left. You may feel not enough, but you absolutely are. Feelings are valid, but they are not always accurate. Emotional strength means you separate. This is what I feel from. This is what is actually happening. This separation is what prevents breakdowns, misunderstandings, and emotional chaos. Emotional control is built in silence. The strongest people in the world did not gain emotional control in the spotlight. They built it in quiet reflection, in lonely nights of self-honesty, in mornings where they disciplined their mind, in moments where they walked away instead of fighting, in the times they apologized when their ego wanted to win instead, in the decisions to mature even when immaturity felt easier. Mastery is built in silence, long before it is seen in public. When you control your emotions, you control your life. Emotionally controlled people make better decisions, build healthier relationships, attract opportunities, avoid unnecessary conflict, stay calm in chaos, lead others naturally, recover from setbacks faster, create stability, and maintain focus. and rise higher in life. Because emotional control is not just a skill, it is a superpower. When your emotions become disciplined, your life becomes unstoppable. If you're ready to strengthen your emotional control, if you're committed to winning the battle within, if you want to lead your emotions, not be ruled by them, then stay with this journey. Your growth matters. Your peace matters. Your transformation matters. Before you move to the next chapter, don't forget, like, subscribe, and comment below to support this channel and help more people master their inner world. Chapter 10. Managing stress before it manages you. Stress is not the enemy. Uncontrolled stress is. Stress is a natural part of life, a signal, a pressure, a message that something requires your attention. But when stress grows unchecked, when it expands beyond the moment, when it begins to control your thoughts, your emotions, your sleep, your decisions, it becomes a silent destroyer. And before you even realize it, your energy is gone, your motivation is drained, and your clarity is buried beneath a fog you can't escape. This chapter is about taking your power back, before stress becomes the master of your life. The truth you must accept: you cannot eliminate stress, but you can control how you respond to it. The strongest people in the world, leaders, creators, entrepreneurs, athletes, are not strong because they feel less stress. They are strong because they have learned to interpret stress correctly, regulate their emotions quickly, respond instead of react, return themselves to center faster than others. You do not need a stress-free life. You need a stress-managed life. When stress builds, clarity shrinks. Stress doesn't just drain energy. It distorts perception. A small problem feels like catastrophe. A minor mistake feels like failure. A temporary setback feels like the end. One negative thought spirals into 20 more. Stress magnifies everything. And when your mind is under pressure, it becomes difficult to separate what is real from what is just fear, what is important from what is simply loud. This is why stress must be managed early, before it bends your reality. The 3-step reset: interrupt, breathe, or enter. When stress hits you hard, your body reacts instantly. Your heart rate rises. Your breathing shortens. Your muscles tighten. Your mind races. This is your alarm system. Your job is to turn off the alarm, so you can think again. Step 1. Interrupt the spike. Pause, stop moving. Stop scrolling. Stop speaking. Interrupt the cycle before it gains momentum. Step 2. Breathe with control. 4 seconds in. 4 seconds out. Repeat. This forces the nervous system to calm itself. You are telling your mind, we are safe. Step 3. Recenter your awareness. Ask yourself, is this truly as big as my emotions say it is? What can I control right now? What matters today, not next year? This brings clarity back online. This brings power back into your hands. The mind under stress makes poor decisions. Never make major decisions. In moments of emotional chaos, stress shrinks logic. Stress amplifies fear. Stress pushes you toward impulsive actions that feel right in the moment, but create long-term damage. Learn to say, I won't make a decision until my mind is calm. This one habit can save your relationships, your dreams, your finances, and your future. Your environment is either a trigger or a healer. Your space affects your stress more than you realize. Clutter increases overwhelm. Noise increases tension. Negative people increase anxiety. You must build environments that support your peace, not destroy it. Ask yourself, who or what raises my stress daily? Who or what reduces it? Protecting your peace is not avoidance. It is responsibility. The power of slowing down. Stress makes you want to speed up, rush decisions, rush thoughts, rush actions. But your power comes from slowing down, from pulling back, from pausing long enough to respond with intention, instead of reacting with emotion. Slow is smooth. Smooth becomes powerful. When you take control of stress, you take control of life. Managing stress does not make you weak. It makes you wise. It makes you dangerous. It turns you into someone who cannot be shaken by pressure or broken by chaos. When you learn to remain calm, while others panic, you gain an advantage that cannot be taught. Clarity becomes your weapon, patience becomes your armor, and emotional control becomes your superpower. Stress will visit you, life will push you, pressure will test you, but you are not a victim of your stress. You are the one who decides how deeply it affects you and how quickly you rise above it. Manage stress early, manage stress intentionally, manage stress wisely, and stress will never manage you again. Chapter 11. Mastering the pause before you react. There is a single skill that can save you from a lifetime of regret. A skill that separates emotional chaos from emotional mastery. A skill that transforms impulsive reactions into intelligent responses. It is the power of the pause. Most people don't fail because of lack of talent, intelligence, or ability. They fail because they respond too quickly, too emotionally, too blindly. A moment of anger destroys a relationship. A moment of fear ruins an opportunity. A moment of insecurity silences potential. A moment of stress creates a problem that never needed to exist. But the ones who pause, the ones who take a breath before responding, become unstoppable. The pause is not weakness, it is control. When something triggers you, your brain wants to react instantly. It wants to defend, attack, protect, withdraw. This is not weakness, it is instinct. But instinct is not intelligence. And emotional impulse is not truth. The pause interrupts that instinct. It creates a moment between the stimulus and your reaction, a moment where your logic can return, your clarity can breathe, your wisdom can speak. This is where emotional mastery lies. The science behind the pause. When you feel triggered, your heart rate spikes. Your amygdala takes over. Your body prepares for conflict. Your thoughts narrow. Your perception becomes distorted. In these few seconds, you're not thinking. You are surviving. A pause, even 3 seconds long, activates the rational part of your brain again. It tells your nervous system, stand down, I'm in control. This tiny shift can change your entire life. The power of delayed reaction. Most of your regrets came from moments where you reacted too quickly. You said things you didn't mean. You made decisions you weren't ready for. You walked away from something you were meant to fight for. You fought for something you should have walked away from. But when you pause, you reclaim power over these moments. Here's the truth. The reaction you feel first is almost never the reaction you should choose. The first reaction is emotional. The second reaction is logical. The third reaction is the truth. But you can only reach the truth if you pause long enough to hear it. The 3 types of pauses you must master. 1. The emotional pause. A deep breath before responding. A count of 3 before speaking. A step back before reacting. This prevents damage. This protects your peace. 2. The perspective pause. Ask yourself, what is actually happening? What story am I creating in my head? Will this matter in a week? Am I reacting to the moment or to old wounds? This creates clarity. This brings truth back into focus. 3. The purpose pause. Remind yourself, what outcome do I want? What response aligns with the future I'm building? What version of me is speaking, the old me or the new me? This creates alignment. This ensures your response serves your life, not your emotions. The pause is a superpower in conflict. Arguments escalate because people respond instantly. Voices rise. Egos collide. Both sides stop listening. Both sides start defending. Nothing gets resolved. But the one who pauses becomes the most powerful person in the room. Because they speak with intention. So they choose words that de-escalate. They stay grounded while the other panics. They see the situation clearly while the other reacts blindly. The calm person wins every conflict. Because clarity is stronger than volume. The pause protects your reputation and relationships. People trust the ones who think before they speak. People respect the ones who stay calm under pressure. People admire the ones who respond with maturity. Even when emotions are high, your pause communicates. I have emotional discipline. I respect myself and others. I choose logic over chaos. I am not controlled by temporary feelings. If you want better relationships, pause. If you want better outcomes, pause. If you want a better life, pause. How to build the pause habit. Step 1. Notice the trigger. The moment your chest tightens, your mind races, your voice wants to rise, stop. Awareness is the doorway to control. Step 2. Breathe intentionally. 1 slow breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. This resets your nervous system. Step 3. Say this phrase silently. Let me think first. I'll respond in a moment. These short statements force your brain to delay the impulse. Step 4. Choose the response you won't regret. Emotional decisions create damage. Calm decisions create progress. Always choose the calm one. The pause is a small moment with enormous power. It keeps you from speaking the words that break relationships. It prevents you from making decisions driven by fear. It stops temporary emotions from creating permanent damage. It transforms you from reactive to intentional. It makes you someone who thinks clearly, while others fall apart. Master the pause, and you master yourself. Master yourself, and you master your life. Chapter 12. Reframe your thoughts before they control you. Your life is not controlled by events. It is not controlled by circumstances. It is not controlled by the things that happen to you. Your life is controlled by the meaning you attach to those things. This is the chapter most people never learn, and the chapter that separates those who stay stuck from those who rise above everything. Because your thoughts are not facts. Your thoughts are interpretations. They are stories your mind creates. Stories built from emotion, fear, memory, and assumption. And if you do not learn to reframe your thoughts will eventually imprison you. But if you do learn to reframe them, your thoughts will empower you. This chapter is about breaking that prison wide open. The mind never presents the world as it is, only as you feel. The truth is simple. What you think is happening is rarely what is actually happening. You see through filters. Past pain, past rejection, past betrayal, past embarrassment, past failure, past shame. These filters distort the moment. Imagine looking through a cracked lens. Everything appears broken, even if nothing is wrong. This is what your mind does. When you don't challenge your thoughts, it doesn't show you the world. It shows you your wounds. Reframing is the art of choosing a better meaning. Reframing doesn't mean pretending. It doesn't mean ignoring the truth. It doesn't mean lying to yourself. It means choosing the interpretation that strengthens you, instead of the one that destroys you. Because every situation has two meanings. The one that feels immediate. The one that reveals reality. The one that creates pain. The one that creates growth. The one that holds you back. The one that moves you forward. Reframing is the skill of choosing the meaning that your future self will thank you for. The 3 most common thoughts that destroy peace. 1. They must be judging me. Reframe. No, people are too busy thinking about themselves. Most anxiety is imagination dressed as truth. 2. I'm not good enough. Reframe. This is evidence I'm evolving. Growth always feels unfamiliar. Lack of confidence is often a sign of leveling up. 3. I failed. Reframe. I learned exactly what I needed to grow stronger next time. Failure is information, not identity. The mind creates stories. You get to edit them. Cinematic, powerful. When something happens, your mind instantly creates a story. I'm not valued. I'm being ignored. I'm being rejected. I'm being attacked. I'm being disrespected. And once the story is written, your emotions obey it. Reframing allows you to rewrite the story. Maybe they're busy. Maybe they misunderstood. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe this is not about me at all. Maybe this is an opportunity to grow. This is not weakness. This is emotional maturity. You are not avoiding reality. You are choosing clarity over assumption. The reframe that changes everything. Is there another way to see this? This question alone can save you from arguments, misunderstandings, self-doubt, overthinking, and emotional spirals. Because the moment you ask it, your brain shifts from reaction to reflection, from fear to perspective, from emotion to intelligence. This single question has repaired friendships, saved marriages, prevented fights, and protected peace. Try it today. Try it right now. Let your mind open. The power of distance. How to step out of the moment. When emotions are high, your thoughts become loud. The best way to lower the volume is to create distance in your mind. 1. Pull back and observe the situation like a third person. Ask yourself, if I were watching this happen to someone else, what would I see? Instant clarity. 2. Name what you're feeling out loud or silently. I feel hurt. I feel insecure. I feel misunderstood. I feel overwhelmed. Naming an emotion reduces its power by half. 3. Ask, is this true or just my fear talking? Fear speaks fast. Truth speaks slow. Wait for the truth. Don't trust thoughts that come from tiredness, fear, or hurt. You think differently when you're exhausted. You think differently when you're triggered. You think differently when you're wounded. You think differently when you feel unappreciated. You think differently when you're stressed. Your mind in these moments is not your friend. It is your alarm system. Do not make decisions from a temporary emotional storm. Reframe, then respond. The reframe that frees you from your past. Everything you've survived has made you wiser. Everything you've overcome has made you stronger. Everything you've endured has given you insight someone else would have collapsed under. Instead of saying, why did this happen to me? Reframe it as, this shaped the person I am becoming. Your past was not punishment. It was preparation. You are not your thoughts. You are their author. Your thoughts can uplift you or destroy you. They can build your future or sabotage it. They can calm your emotions or ignite them. But here's the truth. You are not a prisoner of your thoughts. You are the one who chooses which thoughts to believe. You are the editor, not just the reader. You are the author, not the victim. Reframe your thoughts, and you reclaim your power. Reframe your thoughts, and you reclaim your peace. Reframe your thoughts, and you reclaim your life. Chapter 13. The calm mind makes better decisions. When something happens in your life, there is always a moment, small, quiet, easily missed, between what happens and what you do next. That moment is where your entire future can change. The illusion of fast decisions. We live in a world obsessed with speed. Quick answers, fast reactions, instant responses. But impulsiveness is not power. It's the loss of it. When emotions run high, your heart speeds up, your breath tightens, your thoughts narrow, and in that state, you choose the easiest option, not the wisest one. Anger makes you say things you regret. Stress makes you rush choices you should have thought through. Fear makes you run from things you should have confronted. No one makes their best decisions in chaos. Calmness expands your vision. But when your mind is calm, everything changes. Your perception widens. Your awareness deepens. What once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. Calmness is clarity. And clarity is intelligence. Think back to a time you acted while upset. Your mind tunneled. Only one option felt possible. Now remember a time you acted from calmness. Your vision expanded. You thought clearly. You saw the bigger picture. That is emotional mastery. Not the absence of emotion, but the control of it. The slow mind in a fast world. A calm mind isn't slow because it's hesitant. It's slow because it's deliberate. The world may rush. People may pressure you. Life may push you. But the calm person becomes the strongest person in the room. They don't panic. They don't fold. They don't get swept into the urgency of others. A calm mind is an anchor, a stabilizer, a hidden power, separating emotion from judgment. Calmness isn't about ignoring feelings. It's about understanding them. Anger becomes information. Fear becomes a signal. Stress becomes a cue to slow down. When you can sit with an emotion, without obeying it, you begin to choose your life consciously, not reactively. This is the difference between a controlled mind and a chaotic one. The brain in calm versus chaos. When your stress spikes, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic and decision-making, shuts down. Your survival brain takes over. It doesn't want wisdom, it wants speed. But when you calm yourself, through breath, awareness, or pausing, your higher mind, your wiser mind, comes back online. You think clearly again. This is why calming yourself is not avoidance. It is preparation. Becoming the person who doesn't panic. Staying calm under pressure is not a gift. It is a skill. And every time you pause instead of react, you train that skill. Every time you breathe instead of explode, you strengthen it. Every time you observe instead of panic, you sharpen it. So you become someone others trust. Someone who can think when others freeze. Someone who makes decisions from strength, not emotion. Practical calm decision tools. Here are a few tools you can use today. 1. Delay the decision. If it's not urgent, give it space. A calm decision is almost always a better decision. 2. Return to your body. A slow breath. A short walk. A moment of grounding. These reset your nervous system. 3. Ask yourself, what would the calm version of me choose? This question changes everything. 4. Zoom out. Think about the impact on your future self, not just your current emotion. 5. Check your motive. Are you acting from confidence? Or from fear, pride, or insecurity? These small practices shift you into clarity. Calmness as a superpower. Calmness is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's not indifference. It is emotional maturity. It is strength. It is strategy. A calm mind leads to better judgment, stronger relationships, clearer thinking, deeper confidence, long-term success. Calmness makes you harder to manipulate, harder to provoke, harder to break. A calm mind is a powerful mind. The world opens to the calm. Life responds differently to the person who stays composed. Opportunities notice them. People trust them. Challenges don't rattle them. They move with intention, not impulse. They respond with wisdom, not emotion. They shape life, instead of being shaped by it. This is the gift of the calm mind. This is the power of emotional discipline. Is how you make better decisions. Chapter 14. Creating emotional habits that last. Emotional control isn't something you master once, and then magically maintain forever. It's a set of habits, small, consistent behaviors, that shape how you think, how you respond, and ultimately, how you live. In this chapter, we explore how to build habits that keep you grounded, centered, and in control, no matter what life throws at you. Why habits matter more than motivation. Motivation comes and goes. Some days you feel strong, other days you feel overwhelmed. If your emotional stability depends on how you feel, you'll always be on a roller coaster. But habits don't ask how you feel. They simply activate. Habits protect you. When emotions try to overpower you, habits provide structure. When life feels chaotic, habits build discipline. When motivation disappears, emotional habits start small. One of the biggest mistakes people make is trying to overhaul their entire emotional life overnight. But emotional mastery grows the same way a tree does, slowly, quietly, consistently. Your goal isn't to change everything at once. Your goal is to build small habits that compound over time, like a single breath, a single pause, a single moment of awareness. These small actions turn into powerful patterns. The habit of grounding yourself. When you feel overwhelmed, your mind races, your thoughts scatter, your emotions spike. Grounding pulls you back. This can be as simple as taking a slow breath, feeling your feet on the floor, naming the emotion you're experiencing, noticing your surroundings. These tiny actions signal to your brain, I am safe, I am present, I am in control. Grounding is not a trick. It is a habit of returning to yourself. The habit of observation, not judgment. Most people judge their emotions instantly. I shouldn't feel this way. I'm overreacting. This is stupid. But judgment fuels chaos. Observation creates clarity. The habit you want is this. When a feeling arises, observe it, don't attack it. I'm noticing stress. I'm noticing tension. I'm noticing fear. This simple shift stops the emotional spiral before it begins. The habit of pausing before you respond. 1 second pause can save you from a 1-week regret. Before you speak, pause. Before you react, pause. Before you assume, pause. This habit not only protects you, gives your mind time to choose the best possible response. The pause is your emotional reset button. Use it. The habit of choosing the long-term you. Your emotions often want what feels good right now, but your future self needs what feels right long-term. The habit you want is asking yourself, what choice supports the person I'm becoming? Anger wants revenge. Your higher self wants peace. Stress wants avoidance. Your higher self wants progress. Fear wants retreat. Your higher self wants growth. Choosing long-term benefits over short-term emotion is one of the highest forms of emotional discipline. The habit of creating daily mental space. Your mind needs space, not silence forever, just a few moments where nothing is pulling at you. This could be a morning moment of stillness, a quiet walk, journaling thoughts out of your head, a sitting without your phone, a breathing deeply before bed. These small rituals strengthen emotional control. When the mind has space, it doesn't drown in noise. The habit of protecting your environment. You cannot build emotional habits in a chaotic environment. If your surroundings constantly trigger stress, your mind will never get the chance to calm down. Protect your space. That may mean limiting your access to negative people, reducing unnecessary noise, creating physical spaces that feel peaceful. You're saying no more often. Setting boundaries that safeguard your energy. Your environment shapes your emotional habits just as much as your actions do. Repetition creates stability. Every time you practice a calming habit, you strengthen your emotional foundation. Every breath you control, every pause you take, every boundary you reinforce. These repetitions become your emotional armor. They become the reason you stay steady. While others collapse under pressure, they become the reason you respond wisely. Instead of reacting impulsively, they become the reason your peace grows stronger every day. Emotional habits aren't built in a day, but with consistency, they become a part of who you are. A calmer, clearer, more powerful you. Chapter 15, Becoming Unshakable. There comes a point on this journey where emotional control is no longer something you practice. It becomes part of who you are. You don't just stay calm. You are calm. You don't just react less. You respond with intention. You don't just survive chaos. You move through it with clarity, strength, and an almost unshakable presence. This chapter is about becoming that person. The shift from fragile to unshakable. Most people move through life like glass. A small comment can crack them. A stressful moment can shatter them. One unexpected event can break their balance. But an unshakable person is different. They don't crumble when things get hard. They don't fold under pressure. They don't get thrown off center by other people's chaos. They bend. They adapt. They remain grounded because they've built their emotional strength, not on circumstances, but on inner discipline. The power of inner stability. When you become unshakable, your peace stops depending on the world around you. People can disappoint you. Situations can stress you. Life can surprise you. And yet you stay rooted. This is not emotional numbness. It is emotional maturity. It is the quiet confidence of knowing you can handle whatever comes. It is the deep realization that your reactions are always your responsibility. It is the understanding that your peace is not up for negotiation. You stop taking everything personally. An unshakable person knows not everything is about them. They don't internalize every tone, every look, every delay, every mistake. They recognize when someone else is projecting. They recognize when a situation has nothing to do with them. They recognize when silence is better than a reaction. This emotional boundaries is not coldness. It is wisdom. The wiser you become, the less you absorb, the clearer you think, the stronger you grow. Strength without harshness. Being unshakable doesn't mean being aggressive. It doesn't mean being unfeeling. It doesn't mean shutting the world out. It means you don't collapse emotionally every time life applies pressure. It means you carry yourself with steady confidence, not loud defensiveness. It means you know your worth, without proving anything to anyone. Unshakable people led quietly, with presence, with poise, with discipline. Calm is a way of life. When calm becomes your default state, everything else changes. Your decisions get sharper. Your relationships deepen. Your internal world becomes peaceful. Your external world becomes easier to navigate. You stop living in reaction mode. You stop feeling constantly drained. You stop letting small things hijack your emotions. Calm is no longer an effort. It's a lifestyle. Strength in silence. There is a special kind of power in being comfortable with silence. When you don't need to defend, or explain, or respond instantly, you reclaim your authority. You listen more clearly. You think more deeply. You observe more intelligently. Silence becomes strength, not emptiness. The unshakable identity. An unshakable person carries a certain presence. People feel it before you even speak. It is the presence of someone who knows they can handle life. Someone who trusts themselves. Someone who is calm under pressure. Someone who responds with intention. Someone who chooses peace over chaos. And this presence is a result of everything you've practiced. The pauses, the awareness, the boundaries, the discipline, the emotional habits, the inner calm. All of it leads here. You become the anchor. When you become unshakable, you naturally become the anchor for others. People come to you for clarity. They trust you in chaos. They feel safer around you because your energy is unwavering. You don't get lost in drama. You don't match other people's emotional storms. You don't react to negativity. You stay centered and you lift others with you. The journey continues. Becoming unshakable is not the end of your growth. It is the beginning of a new way of living. You will still face challenges. You will still feel emotions. You will still have moments of stress. But now, you meet life differently. You meet it with calm. You meet it with control. You meet it with strength. You have built an internal world that cannot be easily broken. And because of that, you rise. You rise above circumstances. You rise above old patterns. You rise into the strongest version of yourself. This is what it means to become unshakable. Not perfect, not emotionless, not untouched, but grounded, steady, resilient. And from here forward, you live with a peace that nothing and no one can take from you. Before we close this journey, take a moment, just one moment, to acknowledge yourself. You didn't just listen, you grew. You didn't just hear words, you absorbed a new way of thinking. You didn't just pass time, you invested in the future version of yourself. And that matters, because every time you choose wisdom over reaction, every time you choose calm over chaos, every time you choose self-control over impulsiveness, you reclaim a piece of your life. You become someone your past self would admire, and your future self will be proud of. The world doesn't reward the loudest. It doesn't reward the angriest. It doesn't reward the ones who react first. It rewards the ones who stay centered, the ones who stay intentional, the ones who stay grounded even when life becomes heavy. If this audiobook helped you see yourself more clearly, if it helped you breathe deeper, think wiser, respond calmer, then let it become part of your daily discipline. Listen again when you feel overwhelmed. Return to it when your thoughts begin to spiral. Use it as a reminder that peace is a skill, and you are mastering it. And as we close, remember this. A calm mind is a powerful mind. A controlled reaction is a victorious life. And the person who owns their emotions owns their future. You are that person. You are becoming that person every single day. Thank you for being here. Thank you for choosing growth when you could have chosen distraction. Thank you for choosing healing when you could have chosen avoidance. Thank you for choosing strength when you could have chosen anger. This journey is just beginning. If you found value in this message, if it spoke to your heart, your mind, your peace, I ask you to support this channel in the simplest, most impactful ways. Subscribe so you never miss the next audiobook designed to empower your mind. Like the video, it tells the algorithm this content is worth sharing. Comment below. Let us know what resonated with you the most. Share it with someone who may be struggling silently, someone who needs encouragement, guidance, clarity, someone who deserves a moment of peace. Your support doesn't just help the channel grow. It helps the message reach someone who needs it more than you know. This is your journey, your mind, your peace, your transformation, and it continues from here.